Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday, the 1st of June. So, looking at the euro dollar first, and well, yesterday we put in a quite a bullish pattern here on the dailies, a bullish pivot swing sitting there on the candles there. We do have the monthly pivot below us, which may be a hit at some point. Often we see them hit quite early. However, with this bullish formation, it does look like, well, there's a chance of further upside. It is a bit mixed though in terms of what I'm looking for. Um, it's consolidating where it is a little bit at the moment, which could be a good sign for the upside. We could see those prior highs from last month challenged. If it starts pushing up into that direction, well, above us, let's just come back a little bit. Those prior highs are sort of the near-term target. We really have to go out some to see where next, and you're sort of then looking at the 113 area, which we weren't that far away from. Um, and then it's really quite messy here up to about 114. So there's certainly the possibility for the 113, 114 sort of targets to be had on the euro. As I say, the movement at the moment, the momentum really is to the upside there. Looking from the shorter time frame, this intermediate time frame here, well, we've come short of hitting the daily pivot at the moment. There's a probability we could still come back and catch that. The monthly pivot may be a bit out of range at the moment, but it would become a target if we started selling off at the moment. I'm looking at this sort of the more of the momentum where we're pushing through at the moment, and it looks like, as I said, we could see some further upside here. Downside targets, if it does start breaking, selling off this morning, well, daily pivot back to the weekly pivot would be obvious places, the hourly 50 maybe. Okay, the pound. So bigger picture here, it does look quite negative still to me. It's did put a bullish engulfing candle in pretty much yesterday, which would suggest further upside, but the overall picture of the cable, it's already sold off this morning. It's running to its 4-hourly 50 here. Again, it's put, well, this time a bearish pivot swing in on the 4 hourlies. Did trigger it immediately, but it is still selling off here. It was looking quite bullish yesterday afternoon. As we ran through latest stretch as well, it pushed up pretty strong. Looking down here in the 60 minutes, we're already below the daily pivot, so we're below the weekly pivot, daily pivot. As I say, it does look weak. Now, the monthly pivot, ironically, has already been hit as well. So that's, let's come back to that 60 minute. I can barely see the 60. Oh, there it is. It's above us there. So we've got all three pivots above us, which would suggest bearishness in terms of what we're seeing at the moment. However, it's looking like it's found a bit of support off the 60-minute 100, 50, 34 sort of zone, that area here. If it can break the trend that's running down here at the moment, it has the possibilities to come back out. Sorry, it hasn't actually hit that monthly pivot there, so it's still got a potential target to the upside. But it really does need to get a bit of a move on here. Dollar yen. Dollar yen, well, it's been chopping along over the last week or two. Within a reasonably tight range here. There are some sort of intraday trends that are sort of running on, lower highs, lower lows kicking in, particularly last week. This week it's sorry, this week. Sorry, big one. Early part of this week, I should say. Currently, sorry, it's done a bit of a reversal yesterday and pushing back up. Looks to me like it's got the potential to push back towards the weekly pivot, monthly pivot sitting, the new monthly pivot sitting above. So it does look like it's got that potential. This intermediate time frame, I think on a trend like basis, we're not too far out of breaking a trend here either. If we put the trend line across what I can see at the moment. Yeah, we're just on that trend at the moment. It's looking to try and break. A break of that trend would confirm or close above that trend line, but may confirm potentially more upside here and a move back towards the weekly and monthly at some point. But certainly looks like it's putting a base in at least. Aussie dollar. Now the Aussie dollar, there was some bad news out from China, which has really, kicked in the Aussie to some extent through the Asian session. We've seen it run from a sort of a chop zone there the last few days, and well, it's sold off this morning. Through the Asian session, quite a strong sell-off there after an initial good, decent move to the upside there, but it's selling off, having a bit of a bounce from it at the moment, but the momentum certainly to the downside here on this 4-hour time frame, and well, it could be just putting in a bear flag this morning. It's already hit quite a large number of its targets here, and again, it's below the weekly, monthly, daily pivots here, looking relatively weak at the moment. On this intermediate time frame, so possibly more downside. If it starts breaking this sort of 8 moving average, maybe it will get a bit more of a bounce back to those 21s, but it's really best to be sold rather than bought at the moment. In that case, I should add, you just wait until it gets to a point of a decent retrace and sell into it. Okay, Canadian dollar. Well, the oil's sort of running a little bit flatter now. In fact, I'll just show you oil price at the moment. It's sort of, I say flatter, but it's sitting around this sort of 48 zone. I mean, it did pitch up to 52 last week, and at the moment it's well, more 50 and below. And well, yeah, it looks like it could have some legs, but really, it will probably just sit and choke around here. It's whether or not the Canadian dollar can actually justify any strength. Now, there is the potential, it's got a new monthly pivot sitting above us, there is the potential for that to run in there. It is sort of doing a bear flag pattern here, which would, in this daily picture, which would suggest further downside, but it's a bit mixed, and as you come down the time frames, again, it looks like it might be doing a bit of a basing pattern, and it's trying to put higher lows in, higher highs in on this shorter time frames, and we could, as I say, at some point potentially push towards that monthly pivot. Now, it can be a bit choppy in the morning, so it may be well worth waiting. You saw this yesterday, it chopped all the way through until about sort of midday, and then eventually it got a bit of a footing and off it went. And I wouldn't be too surprised. So if I look at this, I'd be looking for it later in the day to see how it rides out there. But as I said, it's got a reasonable target to the upside. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. News-wise today, we've got plenty coming out. We've already seen some retail sales, actually, etc. In the Aussie, that was positive, but unfortunately, Chinese data was negative, and as an exporter, major exporter to a major market, it's really affected the Aussie dollar this morning. We've got as the first of the month, we've got the UK manufacturing PMI out. There'll be a lot of focus on that at the moment. The economy is coming really major pressure at the moment, particularly with the election going on. Any sort of weakness or whatever else it's being played for. 1:15, we've got the US ADP non-farm payroll data, employment change, so that's at 1:15. 1:30, employment claims are not so important, but what will be then looked at is the US ISM manufacturing data coming out at 3, and of course, well, we got at 4 today, we've got the crude oil inventories. So some key data throughout the day. The crude oil inventories, of course, would probably create some volatility with the Canadian dollar. That's it for me. Have a great day. Bye for now.